Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret Raccoon podcast, episode 106. I'm the Angry Raccoon.
I'm Shontelle.
And we're here for the first podcast of 2019. Yeah, it claps. And I would imagine most people have noticed we already have a new voice on the podcast.
Hey.
Yeah, so this is Shontelle. Obviously, as you've heard, she is, well, I'll say she's my sister for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Been meaning to get you on the podcast for a while. It's been a long time in the works, I guess.
Yeah, like, I just work, don't I? I just constantly work. So it's like, whenever you're like, oh, I'm doing a podcast, I'm just like, sorry, I'm in work. But yeah, I kind of have always wanted to do a podcast. Like, it'd be great to have a podcast on my own, but baby steps.
But this is how you get into it.
Yeah, no,
This
like,
is how
I need to listen to more podcasts and stuff like that. So definitely.
It's true. And obviously, we've survived 2018. We've gone past Christmas.
Survived is like a bit of a, I don't know, it's like...
Understatement.
Yeah, it's a very understatement of survived, because
Okay.
I think like a lot happened, and I just feel that like I just feel that it wasn't the year, and that's fine, and maybe 2019 will be.
Fingers crossed.
It's beat me arse a little bit, but 2020, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
It's funny, you're the second person I think we've had in this podcast who's basically been like, I don't care about 2019, it's all about 2020.
It's not like I don't care, like I want to do like the best I can do, but it's kind of beating my ass at the moment. Like I said to myself, Christmas wouldn't beat me, and it did, and that's it. So I'm like, 2020, here we go. Kanye 2020.
Oh yeah, that's a year away.
Yeah,
for those who don't know, Kanye West is supposedly still going to be running for presidency in 2020.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger as well.
Is he actually going to go for...
Apparently
I didn't know about him.
Apparently he's going. So I'm like, Arnie 2020.
Oh,
Sorry,
that should be
everyone.
interesting.
Sorry.
Get ready, because it's not as if the current president in America is going to stay on for another term. That's very
there
unlikely.
is, to be honest, there is this website that gives you the exact date, the day, hour, and time and second he is not going to be. So they're counting down to him to leave. There's an actual like website.
Fair enough.
It's actually brilliant.
Fair enough, but I guess we'll ask you as soon as we've been away for a while. The last podcast we did was all the way back in December. What have you been up to over the last like couple of weeks or so in terms of like watching stuff and all that stuff, if you can remember?
Yeah, I'm so like rubbish with sometimes things like this. I watched Bandersnatch, like as everyone did. I watched that.
The whole world did, yeah.
I ended up like, I didn't watch Bird Box. Bird Box I still need to do. Like I still need to watch that. But I ended up like watching Bandersnatch, and it was like,
I would say, because Bandersnatch is so new, no spoilers.
Yeah,
no. Some people probably haven't seen it.
Yeah. No, it was just like, it's funny because when I was watching it, the Xbox pad would like vibrate, and then it would be like pick an option, and it's really interesting to see everyone else's like views on it, because when you watch it, you're a bit like, yeah, whatever, but then actually to hear what other people's sort of choices is and stuff like that, like we picked because obviously the only thing I'll probably say is you get to choose the simplest things, like he gets to choose what to have for breakfast and what to listen to. So what we chose for him to listen to was Now 2, or like what record he wants to pick. That was quite nice. I like that. I mean, like, I didn't know what both of them were, so I was like, this is not hard. And then the cereal was like either Frosties or Sugar Puffs, and we picked Frosties. And I remember like looking, I said this to you, I remember looking on the internet the next day, and everyone was like, who picked Frosties? And then obviously that like quote from Peep Show where it's like, Frosties are just like cereal for adults who can't face reality. Like,
which could have been an intentional reference, maybe
because because Netflix tweeted it.
Oh, did they?
I think Netflix tweeted the actual tweet to say because whoever does Netflix account, they're actually brilliant.
They can be brilliant. They can be quite salty sometimes. I know. Well. Like I know when they had that other Cloverfield film come out on Netflix, and no one liked it, and then they were basically like, "Don't ever come here again."
Or when there was a RuPaul, Christina Aguilera was going to be in RuPaul, but she dressed as Farrah, one of the drag queens. So she was supposed to come out, and everyone would be like, oh god, here's Farrah, whatever. And then she kind of like went, ah, and they went, oh my god, it's Christina Aguilera, and it was great. And then there was like a screenshot of this. I think Netflix like screenshotted it. I saw it on Facebook, and one man commented going, oh, the day and age we live in when men are dressing as women, and then Netflix was just like, it's Christina Aguilera. And it was just like, oh
dear.
But I did watch that. That was good. Like, still felt like I should have picked Sugar Puffs, but I just feel like, yeah.
You can go back and
I'm
change
going to
the
say
option.
it now. I am an adult who can't face reality. I picked Frosties. I still can't. But, yeah, like, it probably shows how underrated Peep Show is as well.
Yes, I think it kind of gets overshadowed by a few other like comedy shows of recent years. But yeah, Peep Show's.
It's so underrated. I feel like you watch it back, you'd be like, oh my god, like this actually relates. But it is like some of the quotes, it's more like David Mitchell's quotes, I find, more than Robert Webb's quotes, but I could be wrong. But it's just like little things that like is pretty good. But yeah, so I watched that, and then I wasn't personally like the biggest fan of it. I mean, I've only watched season 1 of Black Mirror because the internet messed up. I was out in Spain at the time watching it, and the internet was like messing up because we were in like quite a unknown area of Spain where sometimes the internet the wind's so strong it cuts the internet out for like 2-3 days.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it was like, but I only watched like season 1 of Black Mirror, and I feel like a lot of, and I mean that season's very good. There's only like one episode which I'm just a bit, there's 2 episodes which are, well, yeah, there's only about like 2 episodes which I'm just a bit like, what is this? But I thought,
that you've seen in general of the whole series
of season 1 of Black Mirror, yeah, I've been a bit like, ugh, like I get what they were trying to do with it. It's just, it's not that it was a bad episode or it was badly written. It was just not my style.
Not your thing.
But I feel like with Bandersnatch, like I think it could have gone a lot better. It got a little bit, I read up on it after I finished watching it, and I just was like, this is the cheesiest, some of the cheesiest stuff I've seen. Like there was like, again, like you would see, not to spoil anything, but there was like Netflix signs that would appear and you would be like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, but we have to remember the concept itself is cheesy.
Yeah, no, to interactively, but when I first started watching it was like, does he have Sugar Puffs or Frosties? I was like, come on, is this a choice? This is not a choice. And you've also got to admit that, like, I mean, Will Poulter in it is really, really good. Like, he's like brilliant in it. I got a bit confused with the character, but he was like really, really good in it. They picked some really good people for it as well. Like they had a really good cast.
They have a lot of money behind them.
I think like the thing is though, Black Mirror, they always have like really good people in it. There's always like good. But watching that was a little bit like, okay. I watched another film last Saturday. I cannot remember the name for the life of me.
Must have left a pretty big impression if you can't remember its name.
I cannot remember what it was called, but it had, do you know Jesse Eisenberg, that guy that everyone like is like ugh to?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone. It was him. It was Danny. Do you know that guy from This Is the End? Danny someone.
There's a lot of people in This Is the End.
But like the main lot.
Maybe. I haven't finished This Is the End.
Oh, it gets a bit silly. This Is the End. Afterwards, it gets kind of like really, really silly. But it's Seth Rogen, isn't it? So it's going to be really silly. Yeah, and it was about this. I think it was called like 30 Minutes or something like that. And it was like Jesse Eisenberg was this cool pizza guy, which is like you can't even imagine. And he just delivers pizza in 30 minutes or less. It was called 30 Minutes or Less.
Okay, there we go.
And yeah, he delivers pizzas in, if it comes like, you know, over 30 minutes, then they get the free pizza. And Danny McBride, his...
It's all coming back to you now.
Yeah, it's all coming back. Danny McBride, his character wants to kill his dad. So he's like, well, why don't we just get Jesse Eisenberg to deliver us a pizza, hold him hostage, strap a bomb to him, and make him rob the bank. It's just very... It was alright. It was pretty good. And then every time his phone rang, there was like a Metallica song. And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. But just to think like Jesse Eisenberg to be this like cool guy who's like... And it had... Do you know that guy from Parks and Recs, the Asian guy?
Yes.
Yeah, it had him in it as well.
Interesting.
I mean, I watch Parks and Recs every now and then.
Yeah.
And that's quite a good show. But, yeah, so it was interesting to watch that. I was just a bit like, it was a good comedy, but Jesse Eisenberg is just not the one for it.
Yeah, it seems weird casting.
Yeah, it was like a very, very weird casting because he he works quite well in The Social Network. He works very well in Now You See Me. I don't think he's in Now You See Me 2 though. I don't think he's in that. But he works really well in that. But just to be this cool guy who just, you know, doesn't give a crap about anything and delivers pizzas and it just...
I can't see it myself.
No, it was just very, very weird. So I watched that. I remember watching that. Odd episodes of Parks and Recs. Odd episodes of like The Office and stuff like that. But yeah, not really anything. Like, I know maybe I think I was probably listening to some new albums. I cannot remember. But yeah, like that's all movie wise I've watched.
At least a fair bit of stuff got done. I mean, eventful stuff, I would say. From your point of view, from your perspective, I mean, I tried to get as much done over the holidays as I could. Like, I went and finally fully watched all of Pink Floyd The Wall, the film, which came out in 1982, which was a very interesting and very weird experience because it, much like the album, it doesn't really explain the story.
Yeah, no, so, I remember borrowing your Pink Floyd album and just being a bit like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but I think it's more like a lot with some of Pink Floyd's album. It's very much, some of them are narrative driven, but if you like maybe give it a few more listens, or maybe sometimes you see the visuals, you kind of maybe piece together your own story.
It's just a bunch of dudes making some music, going, okay, I like this.
Well, that could be almost all music, Shontelle, to some extent.
Like, okay.
But yeah, it was I would recommend watching if you want to see like very odd kind of like British visuals, because there's like very obvious themes like about like World War II and kind of like changing in the music industry and that kind of stuff, but they kind of get very twisted and morphed, and it's got a lot of different visuals in terms of like animation and other kind of possibly disturbing and striking images in terms of like that kind of stuff. But it was a very interesting watch. I would like to see it kind of get restored in a better quality, if you know what I mean. I watched all of Dairy Girls as well, finally.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Dairy Girls is really funny. It's a really good show. It basically takes place in... I forget where it is. It's...
Londonderry? Londonderry?
Not Londonderry. It's Ireland or something like that. Islandary, I believe. I think. And it takes place during the 90s when we had all the unfortunate attacks and all this other random stuff. And it basically follows like a few girls basically dealing with school life. So it does have an in-betweeners-esque vibe. But the girls are not like constantly after like... one particular thing for the most part. It's usually just like, to some extent, first world problems. To some extent, like the main character's like, my family's so annoying and so awkward, and a family is for that matter. But you have like the main character, one of the main characters, who's a boy who's basically come from England, and because they basically say because his parents were worried that in the all boys school he'll get beat up because of what England's doing to their country, he has to go to a girls' school.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny. And they're constantly ridiculing him, basically saying, oh, England's so rubbish, England's blah, blah, blah. He must be gay because he's all this and all that. But it's so funny because when you see them, they're like almost like savages compared to like what they actually are. Like there's a great bit where they go to the fish and chip shop, and he's like, oh, do you want something? He's like, no, I don't want any. And he's like, no, I just don't like it. And they're like, what? How can you not like the chippy? What is wrong with you? And they're like, don't worry, we're sorry about him. He's English. He doesn't get it. Yeah. Great stuff like that, which is fantastic.
It seems like on the same esque as Some Girls.
It might be, actually.
Because Some Girls was like, I think like...
That's a show I need to go back and watch.
Yeah, like a lot of people haven't seen it. Like a lot of people, but it is just gold. It is gold.
I think I watched 2 episodes with you back then, and yeah, it's a strong show.
It's a very, like, I'm glad that they didn't go like season 7, season 8. Like, I'm glad, but it is such a good show. Yeah,
that's one to go back on. I'll quickly run out because there's a lot of things I did watch. I'm not gonna like bore people with it. I watched like The Favourite as well, which is the film that's currently out right now from Yorgos Lanthimos. I can't say his second name, but that's a pretty fantastic film for the most part.
So it's got like Olivia Colman in it, Emma Stone, and there's someone else.
I completely forget her name, but all fantastic performances. It's a weird period piece, ridiculous comedy film.
Is it a comedy?
It's to some extent. There's some things that happen in it that are quite funny, but I wouldn't say it's an all right comedy. It's like a period piece romantic comedy, but there's like things that are intentionally not correct. Like some of the outfits are not what they would have worn then. There's a very hilarious scene where you see some very interesting dancing that's not of that period.
Oh, okay, that's quite interesting.
Like they race ducks.
Yeah.
Like, that's something I don't think Queen Anne would be doing.
I feel like Olivia Colman can do it all, can't she, really?
I think she's proven in this film as well.
She's very versatile, because obviously you've got her as the DC in Broadchurch, but then you also have her as Mitch's ex-wife in Peep Show. She's also the ex-wife.
And I was reminded, because there's a bit of a joke going around with the film, not to spoil much, she was in Hot Fuzz as well.
Was she?
Yeah. Yeah, she's one of the female police officers there.
Yeah, I think if I watch it, I mean, like, Hot Fuzz is just absolute...
It's a classic.
Gold. Like, I just think that, like, you could quote that till the end of the earth. It's like, you know, for you've got Mean Girls to quote as, like, the chick flick of all quotes, and then you've got, like, this sort of cop sort of drama comedy to quote. I mean, like... I'm pretty sure most people who've seen Hot Fuzz would be like, what's your favourite quote? And they could say, most people who've seen Mean Girls could say, what's their favourite quote?
Exactly, yeah.
And I do like that. Like, I think Hot Fuzz is just, what a film.
A strong film, yeah. And I'll just say, real quick as well, I watched the first season of a sci-fi TV series called The Expanse, which I don't know if you've heard of that one. But it's an interesting show where it's like a little bit further in the future. You've got Earth, people from Mars, and people kind of in between in space in the belt, and basically we're on the verge of war, essentially, based on, like, unfortunately one girl going off and doing something that might have just doomed all the races. Not to spoil too much, but it's interesting because you follow 3 characters. Like,
is it Netflix?
It might be on Netflix, but I don't know. I think it was originally on another service, but I think it got cancelled and then got brought back. So it's an interesting one if you like sci-fi, if you're into that kind of stuff. I would recommend. I'm looking forward to watching next season. But I guess we can move on to actual topics and stuff. I believe you wanted to talk about the Brit Awards, which recently just got announced. The
Brit nominations. I woke up this morning to see the Brit nominations, because Brits are always in Feb. I didn't watch last year. The actual year, like last year, I actually watched. I was in 3rd year of uni. I'm pretty sure, no, 2nd, not too sure. And Anton Deck did it, and it wasn't. Oh no, isn't that throwback? Anton Deck did it, and it was horrific. It was so bad.
Just in general, or
just the whole night? Okay. Like, it was just awkward. Everyone was a bit awkward. I remember, like, Boy George kind of coming out and saying a bit like, all it was is he was in the bathroom and all he could hear was, like, sniffing. That's all he could hear throughout the night. And it was just, like... It just was a really bad... Messy. Like, I don't think... you know... that Ant and Dec knew what they were doing. Like, no one... And then last year, I think it was James Corden?
That makes sense. He's popular.
Yeah, because he's got the Late Late Show, hasn't he? But I don't think no one has said who's doing it this year. But so some of the things, I'm just going to read out some of the things. Like, we've got, like, you know, like, I think it's like Video of the Year. And we've got some of these videos which I'm just like...
Questionable.
I mean, One Kiss, Calvin Harris's One Kiss is quite a nice video. Dua Lipa's I Don't Give a is quite interesting, because obviously it's 2 versions of her dancing together. All the dances are 2 different, so that was very creative, and I think that should win. Or Woman Like Me by Little Mix should win, because I think that was quite interesting.
Okay.
And then you've got, like, the British breakthroughs. I forgot Ella May was British. She is British. I totally forgot, because she's done so well in America. I didn't know. I forgot she was British. Georgia Smith, that again are beautiful. Now we've got the male solo artists. We've got, like, Giggs. I don't remember what Giggs has really done this year. We've got Sam Smith. This
is not breakthrough, right?
No, this is just solo artists.
Oh, solo artists.
We've got AX Twins. AX Twins,
why?
I thought there were more than one of them.
Wait, AX Twins.
Twin, yeah.
Oh, Aphex Twin, you mean?
Aphex Twin, sorry.
Aphex Twin is one guy.
Is it one guy?
Aphex Twin is one guy.
I thought
the Apex Twins are obviously twins. I thought you... Yeah, Aphex Twin is one person.
Is it?
Yeah, Aphex Twin is one person.
I thought they were a group.
No, Aphex Twin is one person.
Oh, because he's the one who does all that, like, creepy shit.
In most of his videos, yeah.
They're creepy. Like, they're just so creepy. They're always, like, this guy in a mask doing, like...
Well, that's his face. That's what he actually looks like. That's his face.
Huh?
yeah, it's a bit weird for anyone who doesn't. I'd imagine most people know of Aphex Twin, but like, yeah, the whole backstory with why it's always that face, that is Richard D. Williams' face. That's the real guy's name. And basically, in electronic music, it's you never show your face. Yeah. So he's basically parodying that by always showing his face.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm so sorry.
Revelations.
Yeah, because I've known of them. I wouldn't. I get scared easily, so I would never like.
You never look at a video. No,
I would never watch their videos.
No,
I think I've only seen like one.
No, some of his videos are like a bit.
Yeah, because that is
daunting.
his face, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is his face.
Yeah, that is the guy. What he looks like. Yeah.
And have they just superimposed it?
They do like so many different things. Obviously, it was back then. There's like masks and special effects and other things.
Oh,
like
so they special effects his face a lot
onto things, yeah, and stuff. Not all the time.
Chris Cumming. Who is that?
I don't know who that is. I don't know.
So they kind of like, so they've got his face.
Yeah.
And they just sort of like, because he's got like a big, massive smile. That smile is huge.
Yeah, that's him basically pulling a silly face.
And then they just like what?
Yeah, they just superimpose it, masks, special effects.
Oh.
Like other stuff, yeah.
I didn't even know he still made music.
He did. He dropped an EP literally last year.
Oh, I don't know that.
But to be fair, he took a 10-year, 15-year break.
Oh, because I always hear about him when he gets a Brit nominee. That's the only time. Like, obviously, I know who they are.
Yeah, he's very famous, so that's why.
Yeah, no, I know who they are, but I just never, like... I was like... It was like, oh, his music's come out, and I'm like... Huh? That's it?
Yeah, no, it's one guy. So I can understand the confusion if you see him in male solo artist, you're like, what?
Yeah, because it's just not a thing for me.
Because usually electronic artists are like duos or groups.
Yeah, other than sort of like, if you look at it in the sense, Calvin Harris.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know who still listens to them. I'm sorry if people still do, and I've
I don't
offended anyone.
No,
but
I don't think so.
It's not really my style.
Yeah, that's fine.
Personally, I'm just not about people like superposing their face. I'm just not about creepy videos.
Well, that's not the only thing he does.
Yeah, I know he probably does more, and he's probably got a very good back catalogue, and he's probably an amazing artist in his own right. I'm just not a fan of stuff. I don't get why you have to make your videos like really scary and creepy.
All I will say is I'm not going to bring them up, but there are artists that do make videos of that line and do have imagery, and I'm not going to mention them, obviously. I'm not going to tell you about them, but like there are people who are known for having, let's say, disturbing music, disturbing visuals, disturbing stuff.
But then you're disturbing. Something's disturbed in you.
Some of them, yeah, there's one artist in particular, I'm not going to mention in this podcast, where I've looked at some of the artwork and I'm going, hey, that's pretty messed up.
You got issues.
You might have issues.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do, because if you have issues, you might not be able to make music. But
you're like,
there's stuff where I'm like, hey, that's pretty messed up. Don't do that.
I mean, one person I'm happy for the solo artist is Craig David. I'm very happy.
I'm glad that
he, because that Born to Do It is one of my favorite albums. It's a very, very good album. Mm-hmm. It's just very like, you can tell when it's been made, but it's classic. But it's classic in a good way. And
it's what they say. It's aged well.
Yeah, it's a very, very good album. You've got if you look at like female solo artists, if we go back to that quickly, Lily Allen. That was a bit of a confusion for me.
Yeah, but I mean, she's around. You know what I mean?
And then we've got sort of like Critics' Choice, Sam Fender. I don't really know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
There's someone here I can never Mahalia. She's pretty good. But if we look at singles, again, they're just a bit like Shotgun. I mean, like, I think Shotgun should win. Georgia Shotgun, just because, on this fact only, it has stayed in the charts for the whole year.
But at the same time, like, I and many people could argue, should it win on that merit? Yeah,
true, but it has,
because we're appreciating the artist's craft, not money. But I know that it's really about money at the end of the day, unfortunately.
But then again, 2002 should not win. Emery's 2002, because it's a big, massive mistake in it. There's a huge mistake in it. She names songs, and "Hit Me Baby One More Time" is 1999, and I think one other song she names is 2003. So it's politically incorrect.
Not politically, it's incorrect.
It's incorrect, but
it's factually incorrect.
Yeah,
that's what you mean.
And then you've got like Barking, Raz is Barking, like that's just a no. And then we've just got the videos. The videos again, I think and you've got international. I forgot they did international.
Yeah.
I don't think international should be necessary.
No, because this is about
British music. So you've got people like Drake and Eminem and Shawn Mendes and Travis Scott, which these are artists who have done really well.
And 3 rappers, mind you, as well.
Yeah, but I just don't personally feel like the Brits should ever celebrate international just because it's about, you know, British music.
What they should do, really, in my opinion, is they should have best international feature.
So across the pond collaboration.
Yeah, so an American who comes and does a song with because then you would have, even if it is for malicious intent, you would have someone like Drake coming and doing a song with a British
and it would work.
Like
and then you've got international female. You've got quite an interesting lot there. You've got like Janelle Monáe,
of course.
She's amazing.
Of course.
Ariana Grande, she's done very good this year. And then if I look at groups, the groups are a bit like, you got Brockhampton, you got the Carters.
Brockhampton's good, yeah.
You got First Aid Kit, you've got Nile Rodgers and Chic, and then you got 21 Pilots. But when they say Global Success Award is to be announced, and then British Producer of the Year is to be announced. But I woke up, in all honesty, I woke up and saw all of that and was very disappointed. Extremely disappointed.
I mean, you would know more about like British music because I'm kind of more all over the place with like my music stuff, but yeah, just hearing some of that stuff, I'm kind of like, not a lot of variety, not some things that I'm really going, yeah, that was a strong album or artist. Not to say that anyone on this has, you know, released like rubbish, but what I'm saying is I'm not like, that wasn't really something that I'm really, you know, remembering too well, or really going, yeah, that deserves an award.
There are people there who did very well. There are Ariana Grande, Georgia Smith, Jack Jones put out quite a few strong radio loop songs. He did put out quite a few strong songs. Calvin Harris has put out
he was quite high on the charts for most of the year.
He's done very good. It's just a little bit disappointing for me because there isn't someone like Lily Allen who hasn't really dropped anything this year, is kind of getting somewhere. And then there's AF Twins. What?
Aphex Twin, I
just don't get it.
I don't think Aphex Twin is...
He's like nominated every bloody year.
Sorry, what is he nominated for exactly?
Solo artist. British solo artist.
Is he British? I didn't know. I thought he was American.
I think he might be British.
He dropped an EP, which...
Who listened to it?
I did, but...
Okay, I was about to say, raise your hands if you listened to it.
Everyone listening at home, raise your hand.
Raise your hands if you listened to that EP.
I listened to it and I thought it was good, but...
What music does he make, though? I mean, like, maybe I'm just like a hater I'm not hating, but maybe I'm hating for the wrong reasons.
No, I think
what music does he make?
No, because I agree with you to some extent, because when you're saying British solo artist, Aphex Twin is not the first person I think of.
Yeah, no, I think of... say, for instance, Sam Smith. I think of, I mean, like the British males aren't really doing it recently. I feel like the American males are more doing it.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't really think of him. I don't really think of like superimposed faces. And I remember one video he had where like he's on the back of a limo and he's like,
yeah, that's Window Liquor.
Is that Window Liquor?
Yeah, Window Liquor. Yeah.
Right. Is that actually him or is it actually a dancer?
It's dancers with I haven't watched that video in a while. I don't know if he is in it, but it's his face. Right.
Because I remember there like being black women in it and all that murder. It's just all a bit crazy and weird. And he had like a cane. And I remember watching it in a media class when I was like in year 13. It was just very like...
It's a well done music video, but yes, I can understand why people would be freaked out about it.
Yeah, because it's just like this massive face. And then it's just...
If you've never seen Window Liquor... Go see it, maybe, I guess.
Maybe, I watch it in the day.
But I wouldn't. But if it's too much, I'm not gonna blame you for like clicking off it. Yeah,
but I think like that is like I don't want him to come after me and start being like, "Why are you hating on my music?" Cause
I know we should. But he is a big fan of the podcast.
Yeah, and he
me and him, we chat a lot all the time. You know, I said, great EP, and he said, yeah, I'm working on some new music, 2019, dropping soon.
I don't want to, like, for him to just, like, come to my house in that mask and be like, what are you saying?
No, why would he wear a mask of his face?
I don't know, because it's even creepier, isn't it? But, I don't want, like, an email from him being like, why are you hating? I'm just, like, I'm I'm happy that he is still got longevity. I think that's amazing. And I think for him to, at the tender age of 45, no, I'm joking, I don't know how old he is. I feel like he's
You're saying you're worried he's going to come and email you and then you're
and then
dissing
I'm
his
dissing
age.
his age. I don't know how, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's great that he's got longevity and he's doing really well, and obviously he has a fan base, and they, as a probably fan base, are very happy that he's got a Brit Award. I just don't understand it myself. I'm not going to listen to his music. I'm not going to sit there and watch Window Licker on my days off. It's just not what I'm going to do. I'm sorry, but I just feel that I'm just disappointed in general about the whole nominees, because even like Critics' Choice, I was like, are you for real? Like, Critics' Choice is so important, and the people who have got Critics' Choice mainly have done very, very well. They're always people who have gone to be very successful. Adele, Rag and Bowman, Georgia Smith, Ellie Goulding. These are people who have really
done something.
Yeah, whereas with Sam Fender, he probably had that one tune that I skipped. That's probably the case. I probably know what song it is, but I just probably skipped it a lot of the time. But I think, and even like the videos, are we for real? Some of the videos are just like, all right.
No, I feel
agree. like not, but the issue is, it's because from my point of view, a lot of, say for instance, Ariana Grande's videos this year I feel like they've been like really, but then she works with Dave Myers, and her videos are always like, not all of her videos, but No Tears Left to Cry was Dave Myers. So I think a lot of his video, he works with a lot of American artists. I think that's the issue. But the issue is he works with a lot of American artists, and I feel like British music videos are just they're just dying a little bit.
Yeah.
I think music videos in general are dying, but I think they're really dying.
I think the point of making one, and also their creativity. I think that's what's dying of them, because it's like there's no point in making it because no one's going to watch it, I guess, because they just listen on YouTube, and also don't need to put any effort into it because people will watch it anyway. Yeah,
so I do think, it's like one of that. But I do think I just was very, very disappointed with that, and I just thought there are some very successful people who've been nominated, e.g. Little Mix, but I just feel like... Not even Rag and Bowman. I don't even think Rag and Bowman got a nomination.
Did he release anything?
I don't know, but he doesn't even have... I'm pretty sure I didn't even see his name. And I'm not very... because even though I don't even listen to his stuff, I know he's done very well.
Yeah.
He's done very, very... Let me see before I
obviously, we're not gonna
again. Gorillaz. What the hell?
It's weird because they had 2 albums. From
he wasn't nominated for anything. But you've got I didn't go into group. Sorry,
it was the last category because we got.
Sorry, just getting this X. Arctic Monkeys and Gorillaz. Are we for real? I know that Arctic Monkeys dropped an album in May.
Yeah.
And 1975 are doing very, very well at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped a video and it's a very, very nice video, like a very, very nice video. Like, if I could shake Matty Healy's hand, I would. It's like all the dancers are black, all of them. It's brilliant, and one of the girls in it I used to dance with. But yeah, I'm just as just I feel I could ramble about this forever, but just to wrap it up, I'm disappointed.
Fair enough, but good thing. I would imagine a lot of people might be disappointed, but if anyone wants to kind of
But what does that say about the Brits? Maybe it's not relevant anymore.
That's the same thing they can say with the Oscars as well.
Yeah, maybe these award shows aren't relevant anymore.
That's another discussion in on itself, and I think I think if anyone wants to kind of continue the discussion,
email me.
You can. Well,
not you effed. Email me.
Well, we'll leave our email address, which is raccoonplusfriends.gmail.com, if you want to continue the discussion and talk to us by any means, especially if you want to come back to us.
Well, not you, Michael. Not you, Michael. Don't email me.
Anyway, let's move on to our first trailer, which is going to be For Us. We finally dropped the trailer, I think, just before the end of the year. This is...
It was actually Christmas or Christmas Eve.
I didn't see it until, I think, after Christmas.
Yeah, it dropped... I'm think it dropped Christmas Eve because either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day it dropped.
Okay.
Because I actually got a chance to. I was up late watching it.
Okay, cool. So this is, for anyone who doesn't know, this is Jordan Peele's next film, coming off the success of 2017's Get Out, which is one of the, I think it is, as of right now, as of this year recording, it is the most successful original film of all time.
It is brilliant. Like, I've not watched from the beginning. Like, I missed a bit at the beginning, but it is brilliant, and it's so for the, as I said, for the culture. Like, these words, like, get out. Like, even if someone tells me to get out, like, I still, like, think of that. Like, when someone's doing bad, I'm like, you're literally in the sunken place. Like, the sunken... So, I'm so happy that he is dropping another...
Continue, yes. Yeah, because, I mean, I think... Because I saw the trailer, and I thought, despite the fact that it was a bit too long, I thought it was, like, almost near perfect. In terms of, like, everything it kind of, like, showed off. Because, I mean... Just the introduction, which I'd imagine is very close to the film, of the trailer, I mean. And, you know, you see the parents, they're listening to Lunzi's...
Lunzi's I Got 5 on it.
Lunzi's I Got 5 on it, and which is, you know, perfect song, I guess. Given
Everyone loves that song.
Everyone loves that song. And, I mean, straight away, you see the characters, you see the family, you see them interacting, you know, and kind of talking. It's like, immediately, such likeable characters you actually care about. Immediately, which is...
They're a nice little family.
Which is kind of hard to care about a lot of the time in horror films, because some horror films you don't like people. Well, yeah, you just want people to die. You're just like, how are they gonna die? But now this is a film where you're like, I don't want anyone to die in this film.
Yeah, and you kind of like care for them. I don't know what he's done to make you get. Maybe because they're all sitting there, like they're a little cute family. They're all like singing "I Got 5 on it." I don't know, but yeah, I think because like films like Halloween, not that I've seen Halloween, you're ready for like Michael Myers to like destroy people.
You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool because, I mean, and speaking of Michael Myers as well, I mean, this is, I mean, given what's happened, it's basically like a slasher film, I'd imagine. And I think if this film was successful, we could see like the return of like more slasher film and like iconic, like, oh, I got the knife, you know, and that kind of stuff return, which would be very interesting. And I mean...
Yeah, like Scary Movie. Is it Scary Movie? No, Scary Movie takes the mic.
Scream.
Yeah, I watched Scream 2 the other day or something like that. 2. And I was just like... But,
it's not as good as the original.
I was like, what is this? But, yeah, slasher films would be quite nice because I feel like a lot with horror, it's like we're in a haunted house and someone's being dragged by the ground by their ankle screaming. It's just all of that nowadays.
Like Paranormal Activity
stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like, or the door shuts. It's just...
it's really bad because if you ever see like those paranormal films, or if you watch it with an audience, a lot of the time it's people sitting in a theatre talking, being very bored until something scary happens, and then everyone gets scared, and then they go back to texting on their phone.
To be honest, if I worked in a cinema and I knew that like Paranormal Activity 57 was on, I would be like...
Yeah,
I would be...
You take your lunch break. You take a long lunch break with you in the projection room.
And just try and like scare them.
This is the fifth time I've seen it. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think as well, Jordan Peele, he's kind of looked at films like The Strangers and The Purge. And he's kind of taken, because the whole idea is, oh, someone's broken in your house, they're going to kill you. He's kind of taken that idea and really actually made it actually a threat. And also not having a whole film set in a house, I think is pretty unique as well. Because, I mean, these characters are traveling. Like, this is like a whole setting. Like, these people, whatever they are, who look like them, I don't know what they're supposed to be. Obviously, we'll find out in the film. They're killing people left, right, and centre. Big time. And I'd imagine what is possibly happening is the family is possibly trying to kill them while trying not to be seen because people are going, oh, it's that family that we've seen. They're going around killing people. We got to stop them.
Yeah.
Mistaken identity, which is a pretty cool concept for a for a film, which is awesome. And I think also a beach setting for a horror film.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of The Lost Boys as well, if you've seen that, which that was, a vampire film that kind of takes place on a seaside resort area, which is a really good film if you've never seen that.
I think it's quite nice that he's also another thing I saw on the internet people talking about a lot about is they were actually like a dark-skinned family. It was just like this, normal dark-skinned black family. Like,
and it doesn't...
It's just because a lot of the time if you see within like families like portrayed for black people, it's like the single mum, the dad's a deadbeat, and then you just got maybe 2 or 3 kids. Or like there's, as someone said, there's the random light skinned child. Like there's everyone's dark skin, they're happy family. It's just a normal family who are traveling together. They're all in the car singing like it's just very like nice and positive and happy. And that's like another thing that's like quite nice. Not that like, because I think now the representations of families are getting better, because if you look at Blackish, that's quite a good representation of a family, because you have everyone of different shades, because obviously Rainbow is a mixed race woman and Dre is dark skin. But it's nice to just see that, like, you know, it's just, this is a normal family. This is just a nice, or as we know, as we see, it's just a nice normal family going on holiday. And I think that is important. I think, yeah,
because it's different as well, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's unfortunately different. We would, to some extent, we shouldn't really, based on how society is and how like the film industry works, we shouldn't really be praising a film for doing this. There should be a standard. We should be going, that's an original film and it looks good, as opposed to, this film is finally doing something that people want to see, or what we should be seeing.
I know, it is like really sad. I just think sometimes I believe normalization is just going, okay, there it is, and just like not paying any attention to it, just being like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But that it is good that he's sort of, especially of being, I'm pretty sure Jordan Peele is mixed race himself. I think he is mixed race, and
we don't know that for a fact before someone starts screaming at us, oh, he's this, he's blah blah.
Yeah, I know his wife is white, but yeah, it's quite nice to actually have that and do something like that. I think it's really sweet, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, big time. Yeah,
that's gonna be the only horror that I'm actually gonna go to the cinema and see, because I'm not a horror person.
Yeah, and I think that's good as well, because with someone who isn't like, I'm not like a massive horror fan, but at the same time, it's a film I want to see, because I don't like modern horror films, and I think a lot of other people are gonna go, I don't like horror films, but I'll see that film because that looks interesting, or I like Get Out, and it's not really accepting, but it's a little bit more inclusive.
Yeah.
This film, like, it's a horror film that might get pretty scary and morbid that everyone can get into, which is a bit weird to say about horror films.
Do you remember when Black Panther came out and everyone used to like run out the theatre and start a dance? I hope it starts that. Do you know?
Oh, I know what you mean.
There was a moment where like Black Panther came out and everyone would like skip out and let's record us all doing a unified dance. I hope it like brings out that sort of energy.
Yeah, as long as it's not, sorry white person, you can't see this, that's fine. We unfortunately had that situation where people going, I'm sorry white person, you're not allowed to watch Black
remember
Panther.
I remember hearing situations where like an interracial couple would come in to go see Black Panther and they'd get booed. It was like, it's bad, but it's like there's always those people who take it like we're at 5, they're at 20. It's always going to be that case,
unfortunately. Alright, let's talk about our next trailer, which is also kind of a horror film as well, and that's Velvet Buzzsaw, which is a very odd name. This is a Netflix film releasing, I think, in February or something like that.
Yeah.
And it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's coming from the director Dan Glory.
He did Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler, which is a really cool film as well. If you've never seen that, it's definitely like kind of like, do you know of Nightcrawler?
I know of Nightcrawler, but I have never seen it. It's like Jake Gyllenhaal again.
It's basically Jake Gyllenhaal plays this very creepy, odd kind of like there's a specific name. He's a journalist, and he's kind of exposing kind of like the really dark, maybe disgusting things of the city, but he's doing very dark and disturbing things to get the story.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting character film kind of on society. And I'll be honest, with this trailer, I can already tell they're going to be trying so hard to make like points about how deep the film is, and art is rubbish and blah blah blah. You can see in the trailer, and I think it's going to get very repetitive with its message.
I feel like it started off really good, the trailer, and then it just escalated and got a bit weird, and I was just like...
would you have rather seen a film that's kind of actually about critiquing art to some extent? I mean,
yeah, in all honesty, I'm not going to watch it. Like, I just
That's
know
fine.
I'm not going to watch it. But I just feel that, like, you kind of, if the trailer started off with Jake Gyllenhaal, this kind of snobby art critic, and then it turned him to like screaming at things, and it was just a bit like, what is going on?
It felt a bit pretentious, unfortunately.
Yeah, it felt a bit, and then like, you know, like people strangling, art coming to life and strangling you,
which is
just like,
which is such an overused gimmick, because you can, even in the trailer you can kind of tell it's going to be, oh, it's come to life and it's going to kill you, the film. And I think the people who are making this film probably watched that one scene in the remake of It and went, that's a really scary scene.
I've seen it.
basically a painting kind of comes to life in that film.
Oh, I might go home and watch it.
Yeah, if you want to. I have opinions where I'm like, nah, with that film. But if you actually want a film that's actually about like snobbery and art criticism, there's a film that came out 2 years ago called The Square, and it's basically about like pretentious art and pretentious modernism and stuff like that. Where
I think like it's just like, no. That's it. Nah. It started off good, and then it's just, he took off his glasses and then he just started screaming at things, and then things started strangling him, and people were like, you know, that woman put her hand in and she was like, ooh, and I just was like, no.
Yeah, because I'm a little bit like you, where like I was like, okay, whatever at the beginning, but then when it got to the end, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was too much. You could have just left it alone.
I would much rather it be a little bit more, let's say, psychological or implied.
Yeah,
like
then
maybe
I'm actually seeing like some actors who probably got paid £300 a day to paint their hands to strangle Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. Like
maybe it's all in his. Maybe he's like maybe it's like a mental thing where he's seen so much art that he thinks the art is trying to kill him, or it's
probably,
you know, or something like that, and where everyone's going, oh, what are you talking about? Like
Blue's Clues. That's what we're gonna go with.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, there's a film that kind of did that as well, that did something kind of similar. It's a horror film called Evil Ed. It's basically about like a film editor that starts seeing like monsters and disturbing images in his day-to-day life, and that's kind of what this film reminded me of, except it's a bit more ridiculous. I'm not a horror
person. I like the psychological sort of all this, what's going on. Like, I just am not a horror person.
That's what I would have liked.
Yeah, if it was more psychological, I feel like I'd have maybe like, do you know when you're like got Netflix, you're like, oh, what should we watch? I'd have maybe like suggested that, but now I'm just a bit like
turned off.
Yeah, I feel like Jake Gyllenhaal and his glasses.
That's funny though. One thing I'll mention quickly, which I think the film might or might not have known about. So the bit at the end where the woman sticks her hand in, I guess she dies. Fun fact: there's not that much blood in your hand, so I don't know how she died.
I think people just get away. They just get a bit like, especially as like I'm someone, I would say I'm an artist. You do get a little bit carried away with the art.
You take liberties. I know that.
Yeah. So
I'm not trying to say, oh, that's not accurate blood, 0 out of 10. No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying, I was just like making a quick joke. But like the funny thing about that scene where like obviously the woman dies and people are, people thought it was an art exhibition. They thought it was part of the show. That kind of happened a few years ago. There was an exhibition, I believe, in London, and someone who went to the exhibition, they dropped their glasses and left them on the floor, and people thought it was part of the exhibition. So there was a bunch of people who were like, oh, this was a really interesting piece. The glasses left on the floor.
There was a guy I used to talk to at uni. Like, we were all like really good friends with him. Mm-hmm. He was like president of like the LGBT plus community and stuff like that. He was a fine arts student. And we were at the fine arts student thing, and we were looking at all the stuff, and we were like, this is amazing. And we were just like walking, whatever. And then
just to keep in mind, people can't see you doing the actions.
Yeah, sorry. So, you know. And then we were walking, and then like, after a while we went, where was his work? Because we only saw like a little tiny bit of his work. We were like, was that it? Was that all his work? And then it was like, oh no, the rug we actually walked on was his. Oh. So you like, sometimes with art, it can be like very pretentious, and people do things where they like shoot themselves. Performance art. Yeah, let's call it performance art.
Yeah, let's say that. Just to get that across.
With performance art, it does. I think I remember like watching performance art at uni. I remember studying performance arts at uni, and people would like slap themselves with like fish and stuff like that. And it was just like, just to make a political point of like Margaret Thatcher, and you just were like, stop it.
And you're like, how does that?
Or something like that. Yeah, to that, it would just be like performance like. Again, no one who's a performance artist email me, but it is like, it's just sometimes it is a little bit ridiculous, and I think maybe they're maybe going on that whole thing of, because you remember that robot thing that was talking, that was probably maybe a performance art thing.
Yeah, obviously.
I just think it's just a little pretentious.
Yeah, I think, because I know I read that Netflix are hoping that this is going to be like the next big thing.
No, it's not.
I really don't think it's going to be.
Because no one's going to... It's not like no one's going to watch it, because there's no... You can't say that because it's Netflix. Everyone's going to watch something off Netflix.
And besides, they hide their ratings anyway.
Yeah, of course. But it is like... It's just a bit like too much for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to lose some people, because I don't think this film's going to... Even if this film was good, I don't think anyone's going to go, wow, did you see Velvet Buzzsaw? One of the best? No. No one's going to be
talking... I think it might be a meme. That's it, really.
Could be if people find Bird Box is technically a meme as well, and it's a challenge technically.
It is. Netflix came out, tweeted, was like, I can't believe we're tweeting this, but please do not do this.
Yeah, because it's bad, because someone could kill themselves. Simply put. And they would be liable for suing.
Yeah, but they're like, please don't.
But yeah, I don't know, not a big fan of this one, unfortunately. No. Staying with Netflix, we have Trigger Warning with Killer Mike.
I am
TV series.
So looking forward to this. It just looks so good.
So this one came out of nowhere, and I guess it explains why there hasn't been because Killer Mike is one half of the duo Run the Jewels with rapper as well LP. I guess this explains why Run the Jewels 4 has been. I mean, not that I'm saying this is Run the Jewels 4, but they literally, after this trailer came out, they're like, yeah, Run the Jewels 4 is coming out this year.
Yeah.
So that's cool. This one's kind of tricky because I both love and hate it. Because I kind of... It's hard to tell because the trailer's a bit very mocking, has like a very mocking way, and it's hard to tell if the trailer is edited in a way to make things look very silly and like, oh, look what Killer Mike's doing. But at the same time, you can kind of tell Killer Mike is dead serious about everything he's saying. So when you have like the, record scratch kind of thing, oh, he just said that, and oh, this is funny, I'm kind of like, is this serious? Like, it's hard to... I think 100% Killer Mike is serious about what he's saying.
I think the thing is, like, not to say that this is, I love, like, car crash TV. Like, car crash TV is, like, one of, like, my favourite genres. Like, watching, like, things just go... Like, I mean, since growing up a little bit, I don't watch it as much. But, like, car crash TV is, like, one of my favourite genres. Like, I'm not talking about Big Brother and stuff like that. I'm talking, like, Jerry Springer and
the Jeremy Kyle Show. And
I mean, I don't really watch Jeremy Kyle Show as much, but stuff like The Valleys. The Valleys is, again, one of my favourite. Like, if The Valleys could come back, I'd be very happy. Just things that just drama, like, even like RuPaul Drag Race, it's drama, it's shade, it's like, I love stuff like that. I just generally... But for this, it's something that I feel like I would watch just because it just seems really interesting to just think that this, like, Killer Mike is just trying to do, like, a bunch of things, and he has that, like, natural funniness to him.
Yeah, like, I think it's kind of interesting. Some of the things he's bringing up, like, actually, like, representation of like black people within like society, and I think education as well, and
only
like,
putting money into the black community,
which is interesting. But I think at some points I'm kind of like, I'm not sure where he's going with things, like the whole thing where he's basically saying to the to the stripper, like, oh, I'm only trying to spend money in the black community. I get that, but unfortunately that could be seen as racist. Unfortunately, I mean,
like, the thing is, like, I could quickly do, like,
break it down,
a lesson on reverse racism and how that I can do the counterpoint of how it doesn't work, because racism is built on oppression. That's how racism is built. The hardest thing is you can't, like, there is a sense of you can't just put money into the black community just because of marketing, of just how the market is. It wouldn't be a point. But I think that is a very interesting point to just to do that. I think what he's trying to do is very interesting. And I think instead of him, he's just trying out new things. I think it's really interesting. I feel like that's something I would definitely want to watch.
The thing that I'm a bit confused on, which I think I'm hoping the show is that I'm hoping that this trailer wasn't that great, but I'm hoping what the show is and what Killer Mike is trying to do is, I think he's trying to start a conversation. Like, obviously, I don't think he's actually going to start a new Africa. I don't actually think he's going to fund a whole new religion that becomes a thing. He might, I don't know. I think it's more the case of, I want to bring up these questions, I want to bring up these situations. Why is this thing? Why is that?
I think that is the case. I think, like, if there are probably people out there who think Wakanda is a place. It is not.
It's not a place.
It's not a place, people. It's just, and I think maybe this show will help maybe open up some discussions.
Yeah.
I mean, Wakanda Forever is great, but when something African happens, traditional African, please do not bring up Wakanda, because it's not. Like, when people are like, oh, making Wakanda proud, just it's not a country! People, no. It's not a place.
It's not a country. And that's kind of what I'm hoping. I mean, I think the trailer was edited in a very weird way, which I think it's very deceiving.
But then you could say that with the last trailer we talked about, it was probably maybe edited in like a really strange way.
Yeah. And I think, but my only issue with it being edited that way is, if it is for the actual intent of actually starting a conversation, giving a message, they should have actually delivered something like that. Because let's say if I was a little bit, didn't know too much about this kind of stuff, I might go, that looks like rubbish, Killer Mike is some weird racist guy. I'm just making stuff up. I might go, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to hopefully educate myself because of, the way a trailer's edited. But I hope that it is going to be, I think there will be jokes, there will be funny stuff. Like I said, the whole starting a new Africa, that's him starting a conversation. But what's the funniest way you can start a conversation? I'm going to start a new country.
Yeah,
that's going to get people talking. That's going to get people
yeah.
laughing. And even the bit at the end when he's talking to the kid and he's talking about like white privilege.
Yeah.
That was quite funny. Although,
but how he like educated him and just was like, "Do you understand? Yes, okay, cool, we're cool."
Very straight to the point, which is nice. I mean, it's fine. I'm a bit kind of preemptive with like trying to imply that kind of stuff with children, because children don't care. Children don't see race for the most part. No children, like, they get it, but they're not going, I don't like that kid because he's black. I'm a 4-year-old. Children don't
I think
really
the thing
do
is,
that,
it's not that kids don't see race, because I think everyone's like,
oh, of course they do.
I remember having this conversation in uni, and I just was like, of course
I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't see race.
No, but I think with kids, they understand that, because kids understand that, look, because I'm pretty sure a lot of kids who, biracial children, probably understand race a lot, because my mum may be a different colour to me, and my dad may be a different colour. So I think a lot of the time, I think it's just, okay, you're a different skin colour to me, and it's just left. So I think kids just go, okay, that person's that, and they just leave it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think obviously racism, prejudice, all that stuff is taught. Like, it's all taught.
Unfortunately,
it's all learnt behaviour.
Unfortunately, because of the way our society is, partly depending on where you come from, the school structure as well.
I feel like there should be, for a kid, I feel like not to a certain age, I think you should learn about like white privilege and women in the work and stuff like that. I think that is very important, because I think, or like topics like, for instance, like maybe period poverty or stuff, that I think kids should learn it, because these are things, white privilegeness is going to, not saying that racism won't, but I feel like it's a weird one, but I do feel like there should be topics to be discussed, because as a woman, I feel like you like, left school like happy in that, and then you're like, oh, I'm getting paid less than. I think these discussions should be taught.
Absolutely.
But I think we should learn. We should also celebrate. We should be like, you are going to be some issues because you are different, but we're gonna also celebrate the different. I think there needs to be a balance.
And I think, and that's the only thing I could possibly see a slight negative with the series, is I hope that the overall lesson is, we need to like appreciate and celebrate like black culture, but I'm hoping it doesn't come to the point of no to every other. I don't think it will. No, but I hope that there's a message. But I think like come together.
We all need to discuss. We all need to look in the case of, just because we are happy for this doesn't mean we're not happy for that. And I think we all need to, I thought that is all or less, and just because you are pro-black does not mean you're anti-white.
Yes.
Just because I picked Frosties doesn't mean I don't like sugar puffs. Yeah. It is like, we need to learn that, like, just because because sometimes you would prefer to go to the opera instead of the theatre, but doesn't mean, it's about celebrating everything. I think that's the main thing. It's about celebrating everything, but it's also opening up a discussion. And really, I think also when you're a certain skin colour, you have to represent and do good for your community. That's just how I feel like it should be. You should always do like good, even if sexual orientation, you should always like, I feel like rep your community, do good for your community. It's very positive, and I think it's always a good thing.
Cool. That's good. And we'll move on to our final trailer for the most part, staying with Netflix as well, which is Sex Education, which this is an odd one because
it looks like it's gonna open up a fandom of
that's what I'm worried about.
Because To All the Boys I Loved. Do you remember that came out? I watched probably half an hour of it, turned it off. I didn't really care for it.
Okay.
It's just not my thing. And I'm kind of more into like old school chick flicks personally, like Clueless, Mean Girls.
And this kind of has a bit of that vibe because immediately when I watched this, I kind of just thought to myself, oh, you guys couldn't get the rights to the American Pie TV series. So you're making this.
But then it's also was a night. It like I also praised it in a lot of ways because obviously the lead girl was Asian and stuff like that. So I do praise it a lot. I just think I'm not personally gonna watch it again. It just doesn't seem it's a good plot. It's a good idea. It just doesn't really seem something like I would be very, very interested in. It's just a little bit like I get what they're trying to do in it, and I think for the younger generation that's a really good idea. I just doesn't seem my sort of thing. Like it kind of is going off that whole To All the Boys I Loved, Riverdale, 13 Reasons Why sort of vibe,
which are not
for me.
Great shows.
Which are not great. Like I did not watch 13 Reasons Why, so I can't really comment.
I wouldn't recommend.
I mean,
it.
A lot of people I know watched it and they said no. I read majority of the book. I studied the book in uni. I did one of my assessments. I did 13 Reasons Why. I did an adaptation of it. I did Clay. So Hannah killed herself, and then a couple years later, Clay is a mental health nurse, and Clay is telling his patient who wants to kill herself the story of Hannah.
Okay.
So I did that version. I did after Hannah killed herself, Clay went through a lot of mental health problems, went to uni, studied mental health, and now is helping someone younger than him. Mm-hmm. That's how I looked at it. But I did, I listened to most of the book, read half the book. I heard that a lot of people said it glamorized suicide, which
big time
I think is very, very, a very, very big red flag. Because
and it's very disrespectful of suicide as well.
Yeah, and stuff like if you look at it in the sense of like, the biggest killer of male from I think it's 18 to 35 or 45 is suicide. Like male suicide is very, very high. Mm-hmm. Like there's a number of people who kill themselves daily or struggle with those thoughts and stuff like that. So I think, I mean, it's going for another season, is it?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, which I think is really, really negative. I also think it is very... this isn't the show's fault, but I think it's very really abusive that someone would kill themselves and then have records and make people go, you're the reason why. I think that it is, in a way, can be looked at as a very abusive way.
Because you look like a serial killer. You look like you planned this, and that's...
It's messing with people, and I think that maybe again it is a book, so we can't blame Netflix for the whole thing because it is a book.
No, we blame Netflix and everyone who made the show, not the author.
But I'm just saying, like, it is a book, and I have the book. I don't know where the book is, but I do have the book. And it is, like it's not a positive thing anyway, regardless if Netflix done anything about it or not. It is not positive. But Sex Education does seem like it's going along that line of just this fandom where, do you know that like the internet will find some hot white boy that they obsess over? It's like that. You can see that happening, like it happened with To All the Boys I Loved. Dylan, was it Dylan or Cole Sprouse? Who's in Riverdale?
I don't know.
One of the Sprouse twins are in Riverdale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if one of them are, and there's like, so it's gonna, then you become obsessed with the main. It's gonna peak off that fandom. There's gonna be loads of memes. There's gonna be like loads of in-jokes, loads of culture jokes. So I know it's gonna go off of that, but I'm not very personally interested in something like that. It looks good. It looks interesting. It's just, again, not a thing. Not one of my things I would watch.
Yeah, there isn't really anything for me to add to this trailer, because I kind of just looked at it and I was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of going off those coattails, and it's, I mean, the only thing I liked about it was I like the whole idea of it, you know, the kid being, you know, the son of a therapist, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do sex pro, you know, that I like that angle, but I think that could be worked into maybe a slightly better story that might not be, we don't know, might not be as preachy or so heavy focused. It could be a comedy, which is what I'm sure they're going to go for, some comedic elements. Someone's come, oh, I got this, I got that, you know. But I'd imagine there's going to be like pretty, you know, serious matters as well.
But then I think it could have looked in a way, it could be like a sort of like an older for the times Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging. It could be like, I mean, everyone has seen that. For You a Different Georgia. Like, everyone has seen that. Like, it's probably going off that chick flick element as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is fine, but I mean, I just wouldn't watch it. It's just something I just wouldn't watch. Like, but then I've sat there and watched episodes of Jeopardy. So, again, it's not like, I'm not like, don't
Personal
sit there
preference.
and, yeah, like, not that there's anything wrong with Jeopardy, but I'm just saying, like, I've sat and watched episodes of Jeopardy and literally been like, you know, Julie Garden, like, I've done it. So, yeah, don't take anything I say, people, as like, you know, don't take that I'm sitting there saying, oh, what I watch is super cool, because I've sat and watched episodes of Jeopardy. I've sat there and watched, like, Ready, Steady, Cook, Bored as well. Or, like, episodes of Trapped. Or do you remember that show on Onto the Next? MTV, where they had that big bus and they had, like, a group of singletons, and you need to, like, check it out. It is, like, very naughties. It's very...
You'll have to link me to it, 'cause I don't think I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's very naughty. It's very MTV at their prime. It's very, like, you know, and I'm pretty sure you've seen these, like, memes of, like, these people standing and there's a box and it says 3 things of what they are. I'll find it. But stuff like that, it's like, I've watched stuff like that. So don't take what I watch as, like, oh, look at me, I watched it, because I watch Car Crash TV. I'm a massive fan of it. So it's just not something I would, I don't know, like, if you watch it and it's good, fair enough. And if it's good and it raises questions and it does good, okay.
Sure.
Cool.
And it's funny because you've, like, basically talked about, like, oh yeah, you know, the things I watch, but the discussion is about some of the things you've watched.
Yeah.
From just so obviously, Shontelle, you went on the previous podcast where we spent a good couple hours talking about some of the things we loved and hated from 2018. I guess as soon as we're just coming off the coattails of that, let's say maybe like 2-3 things, whatever they be, like albums, you know, films, TV series, that you thought were pretty good from this year, just to kind of end off the podcast. No pressure, obviously.
I mean, one thing I didn't finish, again, because of internet. Everyone's always like, you never finish shows because of the internet. No. I went off to Spain for a month people, and the internet was wild. But one thing I really enjoyed was Dear White People.
Okay, yeah, the TV series.
Yeah, the TV series. I would suggest to watch the film as well. I like the film as well. Mm-hmm. That was really nice to watch. That was really interesting to kind of, like, see, because it dealt with, I think the thing is, where a lot of people with, like, Dear White People, people are like, but it kind of also dealt with trolls and someone having a gun pointed at them, and like, it dealt with a little bit more season 2. Like, season 1's quite good, but season 2 dealt with quite an interesting lot. I watched Atlanta was really good, but it was a bit boring at points. But I enjoyed, like, I'm trying to think if I watched a lot of TV this year, and Black Mirror I watched this year and absolutely loved.
Which
season 1?
Oh.
I was on 1. Yeah, I started it this year.
Because I'm mainly talking about stuff from 2018.
Yeah, oops.
No.
Yeah, so I would probably, Dear White People in Atlanta, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Ariana Grande's album I was very happy with.
Sweetener, was it?
Yeah, I was very, very happy with it. It was, there's a lot of Pharrell production on it, you can tell.
Okay.
And it kind of deals with a lot of things, and I felt that was, like, really nice. The end song's really sweet as well, and I think how she did Sweetener. Like, what she did was you know, she had a song at the end called Get Well Soon, and it was just sort of saying to her fans, you know, who've been affected by the Manchester bombings, that, you know, it's all right, it's okay, it's okay if you're not feeling okay, it's cool, like, don't worry. And when it hit, I think it was when it hit the song goes to a certain point and then it stops, and then there's like a minute silence. There's a little silence for them, which is really sweet, because obviously that hit a lot of people very hard, and I feel like maybe people wanted her to address it, or maybe not, but I think it was really sweet, because it hurt a lot of people. It hurt a town, it hurt, or city, excuse me, it hurt a lot of people. It was very scary to, because I flew out the next day when that happened. I flew, and there were police like everywhere, and, you know, to be in another country and hear the death total go up and up and up and up, it was like really hard, really heartbreaking. But she did very well. That was like a very nice album she did. She's got another one coming out this year.
Yeah, pretty much for the most part.
She got another one coming out. She did that was a really nice album. I didn't finish it, but again, because you know how bad I am with finishing albums.
Yes, I do.
I don't finish albums, people. It takes me years I just don't know what it is.
I wouldn't say years, I would say months.
It takes
sometimes.
me a long time to finish. I don't know what it is. Georgia Smith's album, although I kind of like tried to go for it, it was a little bit boring for my liking, but it was very nice. How her album was quite nice. In terms of album wise, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't think really anyone dropped much. I don't feel like a lot of people dropped songs, but not albums. I felt like Astroworld is another album that I've not finished, but I've heard. I'm pretty sure I have finished it because it's been probably on the background and I've been doing stuff. I think that's an album that a lot of people praise. A lot of people praise that album. It's a good album. I think it's a bit controversial, but I think it probably wouldn't have gotten much praise if he wasn't with Kylie Jenner, personally. That's how I just personally feel. I feel like maybe it would not have been praised as much because of his exposure and his publicity.
That's true.
I just don't feel like he would have... I don't know, like, it's a good album, but sometimes it's like... I think also Sway Lee made a lot of that album. He doesn't get the recognition for it, which is very annoying, but he did really well. There's someone on the track, I don't know what rapper it is, there's someone on the track of Can't Say, and he literally thrashes him, because he just... So I think it is quite a good album, but it doesn't really I think was it the Grammys that came out? The nominations? The Grammy nominations?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I don't think it... But then I looked at all those albums Grammy nominated and I was like, I don't think any of you deserve any of this. But I feel that it was a good album. It was just a little bit like... It's a good album, but I think where his position is now, I don't think that's necessarily because of his artistry.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting point to make. That's something that could be a video and discussion on itself.
Yeah,
actually,
like the artistry, like that. It is like when we talk about, because obviously the discussion of surviving R. Kelly has come up, and someone, you know, Ebro, who does Hot 97.
Yeah.
He tweeted something very important. He was like, "Can you separate the artistry from the artist?"
Yeah.
He said, "I can," but I think that also is a thing. It's separate, because it is nice when you have an artist and they are likable as a person and they put out good music. That's perfect. But sometimes things are hyped because of the artistry's, not the artistry, the artist's personal life and situation and blah, 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 blah. And one thing I felt like I need to bring up is marketing as well. I think...
So are you saying marketing was one of your favourite things of 2018?
Definitely. How things went... Yeah, no, I've got to give a shout out to marketing. Because it... In the sense of... I'll get to the music point of it. Drake's album was marketed brilliantly. Brilliantly. I've got to shout out Spotify for they did a really good job.
Yeah, by making sure that you were not aware that his album came out by just.
I know people got a bit
everywhere.
pissed off. People did get a bit pissed
That's
off.
understandable to get pissed off.
But the that album was a bit like,
It was 12 more songs.
Oh, it was too many. It was just too many. It's like with Quavo song. Quavo's album is like 20 tracks. I was like, what has Quavo got to say for 20 tracks? He's got nothing to say.
I think there was a great meme where someone basically took the fact that Quavo's new album has like 20 tracks, and he just took a clip of some guy just going skip skip skip.
It's like when Heartbreak on the Moon, Chris Brown's album came out, and there's like 24 tracks. I was like, hell no. Like, I just think like an album with 12 minimum, 14 max, 15 max.
But it depends on length as well.
It does depend on the length.
Because you could have, I've listened to albums that have like literally like 20 to 24 tracks, but the album's an hour long. Because the longest song is 3 minutes.
Like because interludes and stuff like that. Because people love a lit interlude or their mum voicemail. It's not a banging album if your mum hasn't got a voicemail.
You to say, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, Shontelle Christie at Gmail. Email me an album that doesn't have a good album that doesn't have a banging voicemail. You can't. Like, I'm not saying that you have to, but there are albums like Blonde has a voicemail. It has his mum talking, and that is banging. There are Drake albums where the mum's like, I don't like your tone.
There's too many.
Yeah, no, but it's not.
You or someone else needs to do a top 10
of albums that have like their mum's voicemail
or voicemail, someone over the phone talking.
Yeah, like
skits.
Yeah, no, but there. If you think, I'm not saying that your album's gonna be like trash if you don't have like your mum being like, oh, how are you today? Like, I'm not saying that, but there are like, you know that it's gonna be like a fire album sometimes when the mum is like left a message. Like a lot of Eminem's records, they're Paul's talking. And so yeah, with Blonde as well, like he's like, your mum's like, don't do drugs. But yeah, so I think that album, the Drake album was marketed very well. It just wasn't a good album.
Yeah.
That's it really, because that is why I've got a shout on marketing for 2018, because it's done good. It's done well.
It's the exposure.
Yeah, but I think that album was, I don't know, like I just was like, what have you got to say for these many tracks that I don't possibly need to? But other than that, I can't really. There've been some songs which I've been like, oh, but
that's fine. Like, no
album wise,
no pressure.
There's not really for me been loads. Like
But I think that's enough. Like, I mean, most people's top 10s and worst don't have that many. I'm not asking, nor I'm saying, oh, tell me your top 50. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, we got a nice. I don't know. I've never really heard anyone kind of go, yeah, I want to give a shout out to marketing, but like, because obviously people would
shout out to marketing.
Because obviously people would be like, nah, fuck that. But anyway, I think we'll leave it at that for the most part.
Yeah. Shout out marketing.
Last thing we would talk about is the video of the episode, which is Lizzo, Juice.
Love it.
Yeah,
it's a very good. I like her as a person.
Yes, I love her personality.
I like. She's like, it's her and Cupcake.
Yes,
it's
Cupcake.
Just her and Cupcake.
I'm glad you brought up Cupcake.
It's just her and Cupcake who are just like the best. Like, Cupcake's captions on Instagram are insane.
Because you don't care.
Because there's one where she's got there's like a picture of her and one of her straps are missing, and she's like, sorry, my straps were missing, someone tried to jump me and I had to use it as a defense. And it's like, why is that a caption? But her and Cupcake have this really likable vibe about them. Like, I'll talk more on Lizzo because obviously but she's just likable and she's fun and she's like a girl you'd want to be friends with, and it's not like you'd want to be like, oh, I'm like best friends with. This is your like ride or die girl. I like her. I like the video. I like how creative it is. I like I like how creative it is. I just really am a fan.
Yeah, it's a really good music video. It's probably my first favorite song of the year so far. I haven't listened to too much, but it's definitely like a song I've had on repeat a few times as well.
I think it's definitely a video I'm gonna be like, if we look into 2020. 2020.
All nominations.
I will be like, that was probably like a highlight of my 2019 for sure.
Yeah,
like
it's a strong song.
It's a strong song. It's a nice video. She's a cool person, and I'm happy.
Hopefully, drops another album this year as well. That'd be nice to hear more music from her.
She's great. I like her.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything on this podcast for the most part. I don't know who's going to be on the next podcast, but Shontelle, thank you for coming on the podcast.
It's all right.
It was good. I think you added, well, obviously a different voice, but a lot of interesting things. It's always good to get different people from different backgrounds, of different opinions and stuff like that.
Because I'm someone who doesn't really watch that much TV. Not that it's bad, but I don't. Not that it's good or bad, but I don't watch
which is fine.
Much. So like, you know, it's quite interesting it pushes you to watch a little bit more.
Yeah, which is why one of the reasons why we do the podcast, and one of the reasons why we get so many different people on and all that stuff. But yeah, thank you once again for being on the podcast.
It's
and
right.
I guess I'll end this podcast like I always do by saying I was the Angry Raccoon.
I'm Shontelle. Hey.
And we will see you on the next podcast.
Goodbye.